Welcome back, YouTube. This is Wulfoath, and today we're going to be reacting to DeathBattle. I saw this as a recommendation, and I wanted to go ahead and give it a shot, because this is, I haven't reacted to DeathBattle before. I've seen a couple of their things, namely, what was it? Goku vs. Superman. I saw that one a while, way back when. I've probably seen a couple others that I don't remember, but I did want to go ahead and give this one a check. This is one of the newest ones I saw. So let's go ahead and give it a listen, alright? So sit tight and just relax, and let's get it.
This episode of DeathBattle is sponsored by Mint Mobile and BetterHelp. Deku, My Hero Academia's super student.
It's got a good beat.
Asta, the anti-magical ass-kicker from Black Clover.
Though you may be born bereft of the same gifts as your peers, there is nothing stopping.
Okay, so before we get too far into this, I have seen, a good chunk of early, My Hero Academia, but I haven't seen anything in the last couple of years. And with Black Clover, I've seen some of it. I think about halfway through the anime, but definitely haven't finished it. So I think I have roughly the same sort of knowledge base on each one. Like I know enough, but not everything, right? And neither of them are my favorite, or I would rank as my favorite anime. But I am familiar with the characters and the overarching idea. Like I can kind of already see where they're going, because both Deku and Asta were kind of outcasts compared to everybody else, and then yeah, they achieved their powers, right? So let's get to it. Put down in the comments below who do you think would win, and maybe by the time we get done with this, if you disagree with the outcome, let me know what you think, right?
Stopping you from achieving your dreams.
As long as you're a fictional character in a fantasy world.
Oh, let's rewind that.
You may be born bereft of the same gifts as your peers, there is nothing stopping you from achieving your dreams.
As long as you're a fictional character in a fantasy world. I mean, as long as you've got your friends by your side, you'll pack a hell of a punch. He's Wiz and I'm Boomstick.
And it's our job to analyze their weapons, armor, and skills to find out who would win a death battle. Izuku Midoriya wanted only one thing from life: to be a beacon of hope, just like his idol, the #1 ranked superhero in Japan, All Might.
Too bad he was born a freak with no powers. You heard right. This is like a reverse X-Men thing where 80% of the population gets rad superpowers, or quirks as they're called, while the remaining fifth are stuck as basic bitches, or as his spiky-haired bully Bakugo called him, Deku.
That's a pun on the Japanese word dekunobu, meaning good for nothing.
Persevering despite his basic bitchedness, Midoriya got the chance to prove his quirkless heroic mettle against...
Alright, so yeah, like he doesn't have a quirk, but he is able to acquire one, right? And I don't know, I like the name Deku. It reminds me of the Deku tree from Legend of Zelda. Yeah, that's probably why I like it so much.
This giant sludge monster, much to the surprise of one particular almighty onlooker.
Yeah, like
secretly decaying from a horrific injury,
yeah.
All Might needed to find the one who would inherit his all-powerful quirk.
And All Might didn't want just anybody. The hero world was filled with glory seekers in it for fame and money. All Might wanted someone whose body moved on its own to save someone.
He saw exactly that in young Midoriya, and gave him one of the most powerful quirks in the world. One for all.
That was the problem. Even after bulking up from lad to Chad, the recoil from even one punch would shatter all the bones in his arm. So he trained to be able to handle his gift at the superhero school of his dreams, UA High.
And that's when he decided to own the name used as a cudgel against him for so many years. Turns out, Deku can also be an abbreviation for Dekiru, someone who can do anything.
Exactly the opposite of Deku Nobu. One for All allows Deku to release absolutely absurd amounts of strength from different parts of his body, with super moves named after US cities and states.
Deku still can't access all of his power safely though. Using 100% will quickly destroy his body, which is why he learned to distribute his strength evenly across his body, a technique known as full cowling. This lets him increase his speed and durability as well, making him more all-rounded, and shifting focus to his own interpretation of One for All inspired by his pal Ida, shoot style.
Where he pulls out a Glock and blows your brains out. Okay, not really, but in keeping with One for All's rabbit theme, he trades All Might's signature punches for kicks. My version's better. You ever seen Rabbit vs. Gun? I have, and I know how it plays out.
Considering the much higher muscle mass of his legs, shoot style allowed Deku to output even more power while giving his arms a break. A break from a break.
And despite being a classic melee build, Deku can fight at range by punching powerful gusts of air and even precisely aim them with specially designed gloves.
Deku has an encyclopedic
Not
knowledge of
bad.
quirks, and
Not bad.
is analyzing their strengths and weaknesses mid-battle, even if he does sound a little weird.
Despite only barely getting accepted in the first place, Deku quickly became one of Class 1A's most dependable fighters. Because, yeah, somehow these students are constantly getting drafted into literal wars against murderous supervillains.
Midoriya's
Never
success
makes
in battle
sense,
against
but
Rude,
it's been
Criminal,
been something that's been
much
in
to his old bullish
anime
chagrin.
for a very long
Bakugo
time.
was a child prodigy. He now found himself overshadowed by his hard-working rival.
Yeah, where have we seen that before?
Respect,
Despite any shonen jump,
motivate each other to get
right?
stronger.
Classic frenemies. They're only solving their problems by pounding the living tar out of each other.
Luckily for him, Deku soon learned that living tar pounding wasn't the only thing he could do. Turns out, One for All did not originate with All Might. It had been passed down 8 times until it arrived at Deku, with each inheritance also carrying the previous user's natural quirk as well.
Like Black Whip, which lets him manifest crazy long and strong energy tendrils to tie enemies up and swing around the city. Or shoot
Okay.
out of his mouth, just like our girl Fruppy.
And Danger Sense, which gives him a minor reactive precognition.
AKA, he's Spider-Man. Not even a re-
Okay, this is starting to get into stuff that I didn't know about. So he basically has like the equivalent of observation hockey, right? Or like a Spider-Man Sixth Sense type of thing. Yeah.
The mangaka is like the biggest Spidey fan ever.
He can also produce a smoke screen to mask his
Yeah,
powers,
okay.
float
Yeah,
in
that
midair,
makes
and
sense.
restore kinetic energy over time with Fajin. Oh,
Like that. By storing up enough, he can even match All Might's max power without any recoil to boot. Strong enough to change the weather and create
Okay.
many block-sized tornadoes with a
All right.
single punch.
and he's even stronger with his newest quirk, Gear Shift, which allows him to increase the speed of an object anytime he touches it. In conjunction with the power of All for One, he can use this to warp reality itself. Deku can go toe-to-toe with arch-villains like Shigaraki, who's fast enough to react to and catch laser beams with his bare hands.
But nothing could prepare him for All Might's archenemy, the shadowy leader of the League of Villains, All for One.
All Might only ever showed his young pupil kindness and support, but that couldn't change the absolutely crushing pressure Deku felt at every moment.
Even classically trained dickhead Bakugo came to help his teammate out when he needed it. Like when they teamed up to share One for All and punch an island-sized hole in the clouds 24 miles high.
Just goes to show that even One for All isn't a one-man army. Deku's true strength comes from his teamwork between himself and his friends.
And with their help, Deku will surely become that beacon of hope he dreamt about as a child.
One hero for all mankind. This episode is sponsored by Mint Mobile.
This holiday, mobile fearless.
Let's skip around past that. Meow.
Hollywood costume
Okay.
shop. Everyone's got it.
Mana is the source of all magic, a supernatural energy found in the air and in living beings. Except living beings whose names are Asta.
Not only was the young Asta an orphan abandoned by his mother at a church as a baby, he was born with a mutation that prevents him from having any mana to speak of. Well, neither do I, and you don't hear me crying about it.
Yes, you do, all of the time. But Asta had a dream. Despite his lack of magic, he and his best friend Yuno promised each other one of them would rise to the throne of the greatest military position in the land, the Wizard King. Wizard King? Really, guys? Sometimes they call it Magic Emperor, but we all know what they mean.
So he dedicated himself to getting swole as all hell in a world of nerds. He would be its lone jock god, shoving every
Wizard
last
King,
wizard
not
into
the
a
Pirate
locker
King, right?
Until they crowned him king.
But huge, frightening pectorals on a tiny, screaming goblin child weren't enough on its own. He needed something powerful enough to shut down his opponent's magic.
He needed the 5-leaf Clover Grimoire.
Essentially a book of spells, a grimoire will choose its user and float beside their wielder at all times.
And Asta was lucky enough to receive the Una Reverse card of Grimoires. The 5-leaf Clover can harness the power of anti-magic, which will literally nullify the effects of other magic spells. Almost like Wizard Kryptonite.
Yeah.
Let the locker stuffing commence! Haha, get nerds!
It wasn't long before Asta was accepted into one of the 9 squads of Clover Kingdom's Magic Knights, the Black Bulls, filled with lazy drunkards, antisocial otakus, and literal sociopaths.
My kind of people! Yep, mostly. But much like with Asta, you shouldn't judge a grimoire by its cover. And soon they were all working together and kicking ass like a family should.
Asta harnesses the power of anti-magic by summoning swords imbued with it from the grimoire. Normally, these swords would quickly drain the mana from anyone foolish enough to wield them, but Asta does not have any mana, turning his greatest weakness into a one-of-a-kind strength.
He's got his classic Demon Slayer, an enormous greatsword which cuts through spells with its edge and deflects them with its slash.
Super
Or
use-
the Demon Dweller.
Anytime that somebody has a unique ability like that, like in a world full of magic users, somebody doesn't have magic, like that person is going to be uniquely suited. It's the same thing as somebody who does have magic in a world of no magic, right? Like there's going to be a way that they can stand out. And being able to wield blades that would normally siphon off your magic energy, like being able to wield something like that and having access to basically mage killing spells, mage killing weapons and tactics and stuff like that, like you see different examples of that throughout like a lot of different types of fiction, right? Like even the people that shun technology, right? Like, or ones where it's like powers are like faith-based, but like the one who doesn't believe is unaffected, that type of thing. Like that's a trope that's used a lot, and I think it's interesting. But yeah, let's keep going.
Which can also absorb and copy magic, then toss it right back to sender.
I think my personal favorite is the more complex Demon Destroyer, which severs the relationship between a spell's cause and effect, countering the effects of its magic. This could result in anything from healing a village that was inflicted with poison to preventing reincarnation.
Yeah, okay, some of these can get a little heady. I personally prefer keeping it simple, like using anti-magic telekinesis to surf on your sword through the sky.
It's worth noting that these swords are made specifically for countering magical attacks and sources of mana. The swords will act as though blunted when striking non-magical foes, more akin to giant clubs than actual blades. Not
Okay.
entirely inconsistent with real-life greatswords.
But none of that's even close to as cool as his deadliest sword, the Demon Slasher, a katana as black as the pits of hell and twice as badass.
This one actually does cut like a sword, but it's complicated. It lets Asta actually select what he does and does not want to cut, only affecting his target while leaving anything else unharmed.
Okay, at this point, isn't that just magic?
Magic with a loophole.
And he's studied the blade long enough
Magic
to
with a
become
loophole.
master swordsman
Yeah.
to boot. Not in the real life sense, in the anime sense.
He can spin himself like a tornado to deflect magic spells, thrust forward at top speed like a charging bull, launch a barrage of anti-magic projectiles, and even channel anti-magic into his swords to vastly increase their size.
Well, while he may be
Okay.
with mana, he has learned to detect ki. Because, of course,
The life force existing in all things. Asta
Yeah.
can detect hidden opponents and even predict their movements ahead of time, as long as he's fast enough to react.
with such crazy powers, Asta was taking on threats like the Eye of the Midnight Sun, the Devil Zagrid, and the Dark Triad. So many nerds, never enough lockers. Too bad for Asta, though. He had one serious inner demon.
Literally, housed within the five-leaf clover grimoire was Liba, a demon exiled from hell for completely lacking magical powers, and who just so happened to get adopted by Asta's mother.
Until he got possessed by a different demon and killed her. Vowing vengeance on all demonkind, Liba manifested anti-magic from his hatred as a way to kick their asses. Which gave him and Asta a lot of common ground, despite the whole, mom murder thing.
In fact, the two became true brothers and formed an unstoppable duo.
Okay.
Liba can actually fully merge with Asta for a massive power boost that lasts up to 5 minutes, at the cost of leaving Asta nearly powerless for the next half hour.
Come on, I want it. Yeah, I'll take it if I get to slice buildings to pieces, obliterate huge chunks
I'll
of
wait,
earth, and
but I think I know who's gonna win.
demons apart. Give me the goddamn book.
I'm the book boy, okay? Even characters earlier in the series like Patoli had magic capable of completely vaporizing the entire Clover Kingdom in a single attack. And demons that Asta has fought since then like Dante and Lucifero are leagues stronger.
Hell, screw all these demon forms and anti-magic powers. Asta's body is so incredibly well trained, he dodged a beam of light while sleeping. As in, he was asleep, and the force of his sneeze pushed his head out of the way of a beam of light. Light speed sneezes, everyone!
And despite his headstrong and irritating personality,
AKA screaming at the top of his lungs as often as possible.
Asta's an intelligent fighter who
Yeah, that's annoying.
against far more experienced foes.
But he wouldn't be anywhere
Look
with
like he
a
lost his arm.
band of deviants he calls friends. With them at his side, there's no
Not
way
there,
he won't
but-
climb the ranks to take the Wizard King's throne. Especially with Yuno pushing them both to get stronger.
Unlike other classic shonen rivalries, this one isn't tainted by antagonism. They truly want what's best for each other, even if they're competing for the same throne.
Yuno's gonna need all the luck he can get, cause even if Asta never gets mana of his own, his true magic is never given up.
This episode is sponsored by Better but
Oh!
Let's go.
Give it up for our 26th World War
Sword that big? He's gotta be crazy strong.
But all right. So my guess is Asta's gonna win this. The reason is I don't think Deku has any feats that compare to being large city level, and that was like, okay, so maybe is large city level, but I'm pretty sure Asta is fighting at a more like continental level comparatively, right? I think Deku probably tops out at like a small to medium sized country, but I don't think he's on that level. We'll see.
I'm gonna have to rely on more than just my power to take him down.
Deku! And the Black Bull Magic Knight Asta!
Just gotta hit him really hard.
And it also, it begs the question, like, is All for One? No, sorry, one for all. That ability, is it considered magic? I don't think so. I think quirks are genetic abilities, but they may be considered magic. And if they are, Asta has weapons uniquely suited for that. So I don't think this is going good in Deku's favor.
Man, this guy can give even Luck a run for his money.
Alright, so that actually answers the question. Because it did say that his swords act blunted when used on non-magical targets. And they're definitely not cutting through him, so probably.
Aren't swords supposed to be sharp?
Yeah, okay.
His speed isn't slowed by his sword's weight at all. Gotta hamper his movements and get that book out of his hands. He found me!
He's got 3 swords now.
Now it's my turn.
Okay.
Wait! Are you not using magic? What kind of magic emperor would I be if I can't beat a guy like this? Detroit Smash!
Alright, took his swords away.
Detroit Smash! Detroit Smash!
Took his grimoire. Okay, yep, he recalled them.
I don't know what Detroit,
And he merged with his demon.
but I've had enough of it.
I don't know what Detroit is. Alright, yep.
Be with all you've got, because I'm never going down!
Wait. Okay, it's definitely closer than I thought it was, but...
No use not going all out anymore.
Yeah?
Just gotta hit him really hard.
Okay. That he went full cowl.
1,000,000%!
Okay. And he's doing the demon thing.
I did it.
Yes! Why are they all of a sudden sharp though?
Detroit.
For our final round, as Asta takes on last year's reigning champion, Mr.
Okay, so I mean there was a little bit of inconsistency there, because like all of a sudden the swords are sharp. They're not supposed to be sharp. Even after they pointed that out during the death battle. So that is a bit of concern, but let's see what they give as an explanation. I was right. Asta won. I don't know if I don't know. Maybe Deku was stronger than I gave him credit for, or actually, I think Asta was just weaker. I don't think he's continental level. Actually, he might be large city level.
Poor
keep
Deku.
going.
He tried his best, but Asta just shoved him into that great big locker in the sky.
Both Deku and Asta were fairly evenly matched melee fighters without any specific abilities to give one an easy edge over the other. Though, to be fair, the variety of quirks Deku inherited from past users of One For All did make him more versatile and unpredictable.
Plus, quirks are biological mutations, not connected to
Yeah.
some supernatural energy source like mana. So
That's what I figured.
magic powers were basically useless here.
And Deku was generally a smarter and more tactical fighter, but against Asta's incredible might, this time brawn beat brains.
Let's crunch some numbers! Deku's greatest feat of strength was splitting that enormous cloud formation with Bakugo.
By measuring the size of the island and comparing it to the clouds above, we can determine they dispersed over 63 trillion kilograms of water.
That's the weight of the Great Pyramid of Giza. 12,000 of them!
And required an energy of nearly 80 teratons of TNT per punch.
Let's compare that to Asta, but Toli's spell was going to be strong enough to vape.
Why are they using TNT as a measurement? Why not just use like joules of energy or... Yeah? I mean, maybe it's because we're looking at destructive capability, but like... I don't know. Maybe.
Vaporize a country the size
Let me know in the comments below if you know why they use TNT. Like, because I mean TNT, as far as destructive capabilities, has a difference compared to if it's put inside of something or if it's thrown on top of something, right? Like, it's much stronger if it's buried in something. So that in and of itself is inconsistent. So how do you compare something's destructive capability to TNT? Or is there a specific thing that they compare it to, right? Yeah, just let me know in the comments below.
of the Clover Kingdom.
We can use this map from the manga to estimate the size of Clover Kingdom to be about 500 kilometers in diameter.
Okay. 500 kilometers in diameter. So Kingdom, that's definitely country level.
About half the length of Great Britain. Vaporizing a country of that size would require an energy of over 480 teratons of TNT, over 6 times greater than Deku's punch.
Well,
I mean, what I would argue is that he punched the air and that happened. And dispersed all that water. But if it had been a solid object that he had hit, I think the concentration of force would have been much greater, right?
Asta uses anti-magic. It isn't an automatic counter. It needs to be comparable in strength to the spell it's combating. And Asta's gotten way stronger since.
Asta was also quicker. Sure, scaling to Shigaraki would give Deku roughly light speed reaction time.
But Asta could dodge light in his sleep, and that's his base form, even before transforming with Lipa to get way faster.
And since Deku and Asta's precognitive abilities
This is one thing I don't get. Whenever they talk about things moving at or past the speed of light, right? Multiple times the speed of light. I don't think that's... It's not really possible, though, is it? Like, does anything move in our known universe move faster than the speed of light? Pretty sure that becoming pure energy and having nothing slow you down, moving through a vacuum is literally as fast as you can get. Right? Because if you have any mass, you're affected by everything else. There is a limit to how fast you can go, even with propulsion. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I don't understand enough about that. That's probably something I need to look into.
these more or less matched each other, it was only a matter of time before Asta simply overwhelmed him.
Especially since Deku has struggled in the past against faster opponents. Sure, Deku was smarter, but if he literally didn't have enough time to come up with a plan of attack before getting hammered, his brains were wasted.
Deku's tactical brilliance and harem-scarum tenacity definitely gave his opponent a run for his money, but Asta's raw power, blinding speed, and deadlier weaponry spelled the end for All Might's pupil.
Deku gave it his all, and I wish he had won. Hasta la vista.
The winner is...
Alright, so another question. Didn't they say something about, like, if Asta did something, then he wouldn't be able to do... It was something when they were talking about it. It said something about, Asta had an ability that if he did it, then he wouldn't be able to use magic after that. So it seemed like that's what that demon transformation was, but then he used a spell to control the swords. I don't know. There's a lot of inconsistencies. This is one of those break it down on multiple viewings type of thing. If you have anything down that you want to tell me about it, any more insights that you may have, put them down in the comments below. I appreciate it. Would love to see it. And make sure you subscribe if you're new, so that you don't miss any future content, okay? We're definitely going to be revisiting more of these death battles, and pretty much anything else that you suggest to me. Like, I'm more open to anything, and I like being exposed to new things, right? Alright, so hope you have a great day and enjoy it. Till next time, peace.